Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the BookPreneur. I'm Audrey Bell-Kearney. Hey, listen, have you ever tried to figure out how to market your book? And have you been trying to figure out should you do paid or should you do free? Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about can you grow a book brand without spending money? And I'm going to dive deep into that. I'm going to go through the pros and the cons, like what does it take to grow a book brand with money and without money. So stick around. I'll be right back and we're going to get right into the show.
Stepping to the edge now, heart beating so loud, sky's calling my name, time to play the game. Feet leave the ground, I hope I won't fall down, no, trust.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, I've been an author now probably since 1998. It's been a long time. And I've done all types of things to grow a book brand. So today I want to talk to you about growing a book brand without spending money and if you can really do it. And so the pros and the cons of spending money and not spending money. So let's jump right into it because I know somebody saying I wrote the book or you're not. How do I make money? How do I grow this book brand? What do I need to do? So, can you grow a book brand without spending money? You absolutely can. Here's the thing though, it's just going to take you a long time. Let me just say that. And how do I know that? It's because any brand that you're trying to grow organically is going to take you a minute. You're going to have to put in the time. You're going to have to, and you may not have to lay out the money, but the time that it's going to cost you to put into the business and for you to grow, you're going to have to do that. So it's going to probably take some sacrifice. So let's go through some of the pros and the cons. All right. Free book marketing, paid book marketing. All right. First of all, of course, it's free. You got to spend some time, but you don't have to spend any money. And by doing that, you can do stuff like email campaigns. You can do, of course, a social media. You can do book signage. You can do book pop-ups. You can do book vending. You can do all of these things, and it doesn't cost you a lot of money. Um, you could also do like interviews on people's podcasts and shows, and that's all free marketing, right? You can write blog posts, you can do SEO, that's all free, but it's gonna cost you some time. The other thing to that is it's gonna take a little time. And let me tell you a quick story. So I run a podcast called Good Morning Gwinnett. I've been doing it December the 18th will be 6 years. I've been doing it. I think I've done right around 1,200 episodes of that show. And I try to do everything organically to the point where I was getting so burned out with trying to promote the podcast and grow the podcast. And what was crazy is it never even dawned on me to run ads to the podcast. Never. And I was watching someone talking about growing a newsletter, and they were saying, like, oh, how did you grow it? And it was like, oh, I just ran some ads. And I'm thinking, run ads. So then I watched another person talking about growing a newsletter, and they said the same thing. Oh, I ran some ads. I'm like, run. It never even dawned on me to run ads to the podcast because I'm so used to people saying, "Oh, do it organically," and I started to get really stressed out because the show wasn't growing, and I was putting in so much effort, going live 5 days a week, 4 days a week. I'm live, I'm talking, I'm talking, I'm talking, and it just wasn't growing. And then it hit me. You need to be running ads to the podcast. But it didn't dawn on me because I always looked at my platform and media and books and all that stuff like, okay, this is media. So do media companies run ads for media companies? Well, yeah, they do. And so I wish I had known then what I know now, because if I had known then what I know now, 6 years in the making, I would have really done some big things by now. I would have really done some big things. But it's okay because when you know better, you do better. So when you're looking at your book and saying, you know what, I want to build a brand around this, I'm gonna tell you, organically, yes, it can be done. Yes, you can write articles. You can write articles about the book. You can do guest posting. You can do guest blogging. You can get written up in other people's magazine. All of these things you can. But it's going to take you knowing how to send out a press release. It's going to take you reaching out to publishers. It's going to take you reaching out to podcasters to get on the podcast. It's going to take you reaching out to magazine writers. It's going to take you sending out press release to your local media. It's going to take you doing all those things. Now, can you do that? Absolutely, you can. But you need to understand too. You need to know how to do all of these things. You need to be able to put a plan in place so that now that you know how to do all these things, schedule it out. Don't try to do them all at once. Say, you know what? And I'll give you another story. When I first started my very first company, we didn't have any money. So we didn't have any money. So I knew I had read a book called the Personal Touch by Terry Williams. Terry Williams was the publicist at that time for Michael Jackson, Eddie Murphy, I think Janet Jackson, maybe Prince, I think. Terry Williams. Her company was called the Terry Williams Agency. She was in New York. and she had spoken at a an event when I used to work at Prudential called the Minority Interchange. So the Minority Interchange was it was kind of like one of them events where the company had this program inside of the company that was focused on minority. It was called Minority Interchange. And Prudential sent a bunch of us away for a weekend, and Terry was one of the speakers. I had bought her book called A Personal Touch and read the book from front to back. And in the book, she said, you got to do something extraordinary. So, what I did was because we didn't have any money for real, I went to the dollar store. I bought some boxes. I bought 20. Well, the first thing I did was go to the bookstore. I went to the bookstore. I went to Barnes and Nobles. I looked at all of the magazines that I wanted to be featured in. I found out who all the editors were, and I wrote them on some paper. On a piece of paper, it was about 20 editors, right? And this is real old school, and this is way back in the day. Remember, I said I've been doing this since 1998. And that was our very first book. So I was trying to figure out how to market that book. That was the very first book, and we wanted to get it out there. And so I went to the store. We reached out to Terry. I got the book. I read the book from her, but in the book it said do something extraordinary. This thing that's going to make noise. So I went to the dollar store. I bought a bunch of small boxes. It was right around Valentine's Day, and with that I bought some dollar candy. I did a press release. I printed the press release out. I put it in the box. I wrapped the box in Valentine paper, and I mailed it off to all the editors. And Heart and Soul Emerge magazine picked it up and reached out to us and said, "Hey, we want to run a story on you." We were so excited. Now we didn't get a bunch of stories. We got the Network Journal did a story on us, which was a magazine, a black business magazine in New York, and then um, Emerge magazine picked us up and said we want to do a story on you. But what happened with Emerge, before they could run the story, they got acquired. So then our story got kicked over to Heart and Soul magazine. Right now, this is from me spending $20 on candy, dollar candy. I mean, penny. It was the candy wasn't even a dollar. It was a bag of lollipops, and I just took the lollipops out and put it in the box. So I spent money on paper, wrapping paper, boxes, press releases, and then postage. So I spent probably about, I'm gonna say $50, right? This is what I spent. And I mailed it out. So Heart and Soul magazine wrote a story about us. And I was like, oh my God. So we were on the same in the same magazine. Kelly Price was on one side of the page and we were on the other side. Then Global Black Woman did a story on us. Then the Network Journal did a story on us. All because of that money that I spent, and it was a little bit of money, but I put it out there. So I said all that to say, yes, I spent some money, but I didn't spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it got us a lot of publicity. Now, I'm gonna say this: getting publicity does not equal sales. It equals exposure. Not all the time you're going to get exposure and you should expect sales because it doesn't happen, especially if people don't understand your market. So we were in a new market when we did the dog companies. A lot of people didn't understand that market. They didn't know, they didn't know us. We weren't a brand. However, we got a lot of exposure. So think about that when you start to put your marketing plan together. How much money do you have to put in there? If you don't have money, how creative can you become? Can you figure out a way to get in front of people that's free, or for a small amount of money that you can help that's going to help you build your book brand, right? Think about what that looks like. Social media is great. I'm not going to even front, but social media is saturated. And I know some people are like, oh, it's not it's saturated. You have a lot of noise to compete with, especially in the book business, especially with tools like Chat GPT and AI Writer and SEO Writer and Digital Writer. And there are people putting out books who can't write, probably can't even spell correctly, but because of all of these smart tools, they can create a book in a matter of minutes and have a full-blown book that they can put out there and start promoting. So now your space as an author just became even more crowded than it was before. That's not a bad thing. I mean, for the real authors, they think that's terrible. But what you have to do is figure out how to stand out. So you can leverage free tools. You can do SEO. You can have people write about you. You can write about yourself. You can start a newsletter. You can collaborate with other authors. You can do like get on the Goodreads. Make sure your book is in audio. All of these things are free. My Lyrian Legacy, which is what I did, my first fiction book that I created with AI, it's on Amazon. It's on Ingram Sparks. It's on Google Reads. It's on Spotify. Uh, 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 Audiobooks. It's everywhere. YouTube music. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, right? Because I needed to be everywhere. Now, even though it's everywhere, remember, it sounds amazing when you could be all of these places. You, as the author, still have to do the work to market. My book is on all of those platforms, and I can almost guarantee you, if I'm not out there talking about it and marketing it, nobody's going to find it because Spotify is not saying, you know what, that looks like a good book that this lady named Audrey, who lives in Georgia, she wrote that book. Let's put some money behind it and market it. That's not what they're saying. That's not what anybody is saying. It's still going to be on you, even though you're on all of these platforms, to do the footwork to get your book out there. Now, so you got a lot of ways to do that without spending any money, just time. You have a lot of ways to do that. It's just going to cost you some time. Um, I did a pop up, not a pop up. I did a signing recently at the library, and I did sell some books. So the library have what's called an author's day, and they invite all these local authors out, and you set up a table. It was a really nice event, and I sold some books, and I thought that was pretty cool because I didn't know, most of the time at a library they don't let you sell anything, but at this particular event it was for the authors, and authors got a chance to set up a table, set up their booth, and sell books, and I did sell books there. Had I paid for that spot, if it was over like $100, I probably would have been a little perturbed because it was a bunch of authors there and people weren't buying a whole lot of books unless they were children books. Now, I can tell you that the children authors, yeah, children book authors, they were making some money at the library. Here's why. Because that particular day was set up for story time for children. So what I should have had was a children's book. That's what I should have had, but I didn't have one. But that was another way. It was free. I didn't have to spend any money. All I had to do was pack up my car and go over there for that day and spend 4 hours as a vendor at a free event. Another great way for you to get outside is to, find a local a cafe or something and say, hey, listen, I want to do a podcast free. I want to do a podcast. I'm going to be talking about my book. I want to do it from your location. Is that okay? And I'll give you a shout out in the podcast. And you do a live stream to your Facebook group live from this location. That's free. Just gonna cost you some time. Now, because you don't have to spend a lot of money, you get a chance to do a lot of stuff, but it's just gonna cost you some time. When you think about paid marketing, it's gonna require you to have a budget. You need to have a budget, and you need to say, okay, before you have this budget, how am I going to allocate these funds? Where's this money going to? If you don't understand Facebook advertising, you need to hire someone or don't do it. Let me say that again. If you don't understand Facebook advertising, you need to hire someone or don't do it. Now, what I will tell you that I think is a pretty good way to advertise is to advertise in newsletters. I think that's a great way to get your message out there. If there's a newsletter that covers your particular genre, they are already looking for you. They're already reading what you write. Instead of going to Facebook and TikTok and all these things, not saying they're not good, you may want to pin down your audience in a newsletter. So if you write mystery, there's probably a newsletter out there that comes out that has a great readership of mystery readers. They're looking for books to read about mystery. That's where I will put my money at. I will put my money where my audience is. And I know that they're there because this person puts out a newsletter once, twice, 3 times a week. He has an avid group of people who loves what he put out. They all share book talk together. That's why I will put my dollar in a newsletter. Now, because I don't understand Facebook, I ran a Facebook ad the other day. When I ran the ad, it said, "Oh, you're going to reach between 7,000 and 21,000 people." And then I look at the ad, it says 94. I'm like, what happened? So I don't know how to do Facebook ads. I've done them and I've done them well for clients, but I don't know the real science behind Facebook ads to make them work. Not only that, it can become extremely expensive. So if you don't have a huge budget for Facebook ads, you might want to pump the brakes on that and find you a newsletter publisher that you can say, you know what, let me go over here and do this. Other thing about paid marketing is it's going to save you some time. Everything that I mentioned a minute ago, all of that stuff takes time. Creating social media campaigns, writing articles, guest blogging, putting out press releases. That's going to take some time. And if you don't have a lot of time, your marketing is gonna be very slow. How do I know that? Because it's happening to me. It happened to me before, and I was like, man, I don't know why this is not growing. Well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I got this thing going. I'm trying to make all this happen, and all the time I'm trying to do organic. I got a ton of articles on my website. I got videos syndicated from the podcast to the YouTube channel, like 800 over there. Just craziness, and I'm still not growing. Still not growing. And I'm like, something is wrong. Paid marketing, you don't have to spend that much time, right? You don't have to spend a whole lot of time because you have said, you know what? I'm going to go to ABC newsletter. I'm going to pay their fee. They're going to put a blurb about my book in the newsletter, and they're going to send it out to the 3,000 people that listen. And that's a small newsletter. You may have some that reach 50,000 people. They're going to send out my book cover, my book blurb, a little bit about who I am to their 50,000 readers who love the type of genre that I write. That's good. It's going to take you just, hey, let me find a newsletter. That's going to take a little bit of time. And then once you do that, you see it, you got a budget. You say, okay, this fits directly into my budget. And then you pay the person and they send it out. You don't have to do anything. They send it out. The other thing about the reach when it comes to social media, yeah, you can be on all of these platforms, but if you don't have a following on all these platforms, if you got 100 people on Facebook, you got to may have 100 on LinkedIn, maybe 500 on Instagram, or 200 on TikTok because everybody gets stuck at 200. That's an audience for you, but that's not a huge audience because you have not had the time to grow the audience. Now you can leverage other people's audience, but you may have to pay them. There are influencers out there with millions of people. They can just say, hey, buy the book, and people, if not millions, thousands will buy your book, and now your book is going viral, you're doing well, but you got to pay for that. So that's on the paid marketing side. If you don't have your own social media platforms built up, I can tell you right now, I have over about 2,000 and something on Facebook. I have over 3,000 on Instagram. Have not even touched the service on TikTok. I think I'm around 190 or something on one of my TikToks. But on my LinkedIn, collectively on LinkedIn, almost 14,000, if not 14,000. So I like LinkedIn because that is where my biggest following is. So when it's time for me to promote something for real that I really want to get out there, I always promote it on LinkedIn. So if you're doing free marketing and you don't already have an audience, you got to build an audience. Now you got to build an audience while you try to promote the book. It's going to be tough. Um, on the flip side, you find somebody with an audience and you pay them. If they already have a nice audience, and just like the newsletter, it could be somebody on Instagram, they're doing a great thing in your space. You reach out to them, say, hey, could what would it take for you to advertise my book to your audience? Right. And then say, this is how much I charge. Now you have to say, okay, that's not in my budget. Or, oh, sure, that fits directly into my budget. And then you buy the ad, right? The other thing about free book marketing, you can scale, but you can only scale if you have the audience. Let me say that again. You can scale, but you can only scale if you have the audience. And if you don't have the audience, you got to spend the time building the audience so you can scale. With paid marketing, you can scale based on your budget, right? I just talked about Facebook a second ago. I ran an ad on Facebook. It says 7,000 to 21,000. I'm like, great. That's a great over like 3 days. I'm like, that's wonderful. I can get in front of 21,000 a day, 7 to 21,000 people a day for this budget that I put together. Great. I love it. Well, when I looked at the numbers, I'm like, something ain't right about this. This says 94. And I haven't looked at it again because I think the ad actually ended yesterday. So, but if I knew what I was doing, or if I hired a professional, I could scale that easily. I need to get in front of 1 million people. How can I get in front of 1 million people? And I used to say that all the time. In front of a million, well, if you got a budget, you can get in front of a million people, and you can get in front of a million of the right people. But you need to understand what you're doing, and then you can scale, right? You need to understand what you're doing, and then you can scale. You need to understand what you're doing, and yes, you can scale. Do not go out there and put all that money into ads, and you don't know what you're doing, who you're talking to, and because you're going to scale in the wrong direction. You're going to scale to the wrong audience because you don't know what you're doing. So hire professionals who know what they're doing. Hire professionals who know what they're doing to help you scale. And there are a lot of great people out there. There are a lot of great companies out there that can help you do that. So let's do a quick recap of free book marketing versus paid book marketing. One, cost. When you do free book marketing, the financial investment is small. There's no financial investment really required, but if you want to use one, you can use a small one, like I did with the boxes for Valentine's Day to send out the press releases, and that was me being real creative. Right now, people just email a press release. For me, I wanted to I wanted to make sure it got to the person. I knew because it was Valentine's Day that people would open up the box because they were thinking it was some kind of candy. I'm sure when they opened up the box, some people probably were mad because they were thinking, oh, he sent me something, or oh, she thought about me. Nah, it was me thinking about them because I needed to get inside their magazine, and I did. But that cost me about $50, right? Paid marketing is going to require you to put together a budget. And but you need to figure out where you want to advertise at. Do you want to go all in on YouTube ads? Do you want to go all in on Amazon ads because you have a book on Amazon? Do you want to go all in on TikTok ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads? Where you want to go all in on? You got to put together that budget for that, right? The investment on the free marketing side is going to be of time is going to be high because you have to do everything. Even if you have a team, and your team is probably free, they're going to have to make the same time investment as you. And I can tell you that when it's not people's gig or their passion, they're not going to put in as much time as you are. So don't set yourself up for disappointment about that. Just know that, hey, I need your help. And they're going to help out for a second, but then they're going to fall back and then you're going to be stuck doing it by yourself. So you're going to have a lot of time invested into building a free book marketing campaign. Paid book marketing, moderate. Find the platform you want to market on, pay the money, they're going to get it out there for you. Free book marketing, result speed, slow. When I tell you slow, slow like a snail snow, slow. I've been doing Good Morning Gwinnett almost 6 years. The 18th, next Wednesday, it'll be 6 years. Slow. Now that I have learned some stuff, I looked at my Google Analytics the other day and I'm like, what is no? Now I'm taking off. But that's because I know better. When you know better, you do better. I didn't know what I didn't know until I found out what I didn't know. When I realized, oh my God, I could have been doing this stuff all along. So many things I could have been done that I have not done in the 5 3/4 years that I've been doing the podcast, that I will be doing moving forward. And the little things that I have fixed on my website, because I have the news site and I have the podcast, the little things that I have fixed on my news site have made a tremendous difference. And I see my numbers like in the thousands. I'm like, what? Didn't see that before. But when you know better, you do better. All right. Um, what was that? So speed. When you do paid marketing, you move faster because all you gotta do is pay the money and it's gonna move. You don't have to move it. Scalability, you can scale, but it's gonna be challenging. You can scale your book marketing and build your book brand. You can, but it's gonna be a little bit challenging because you may not have an audience. If you don't have an audience or a budget, and you got to do everything organically. You're going to have some challenges there. On the paid side, highly scalable. Pick an audience, pick a budget, and scale. I can tell you right now, in 2025, I'm working on something right now, and the goal is to put as much money as I possibly can behind it to scale it really quick because I don't want to wait. I don't want to mess around. I want to scale this thing, and I want to scale it quick. And I know in order to scale it quick, I have to put together a good marketing budget. So that's the plan. So listen, I hope this has been helpful. Don't be discouraged. I didn't do this episode for you to be discouraged. I just want you to understand that if you're doing it the slow way is slow. If you want to spend some time and you want to scale it quickly, you got to put some money in it. I tell people this all the time. You don't know how many people I talk to as a president of a chamber and a marketing and book and a business coach and a consultant. You don't know how many people I talk to who come to me and they want to do something, but they want to bypass paid marketing. They want to bypass that altogether. They want me to say, here's a miracle pill that you can just do this, and it's not going to happen. You have got to put money into your marketing. I know this because is the reason I know this is because I've fallen on my face many a days trying to do what some guru said, do all of this content and do all of these things. I'm not saying those things don't work, but you need to have a mix of the two. Put all your social media out, but put your paid marketing out too. Let that help you build up your social media platform. So now you can build this community around your brand. Now you got people who love you because you spent some money to build that community. Now your numbers on the social media side is going up. Your newsletter subscribers is going up. Your YouTube channel subscribers going because you're putting the money out so people can see you. It's like a catch-22, right? If you don't put the money out, you don't get the views. But if you don't get the views, you feel like, okay, it's a mess. I don't want to discourage you. I just want you to understand that you have to put money into marketing. There's no silver bullet on how to make this work. You know, if it were, I would have found it. And for me, I spent a lot of times doing organic stuff, SEO. Oh my God, I got my website, my Good Morning Gwinnett website. It has all kind of SEO tools that I pay for plugged in. Hey, the title's too long. Hey, you need the keyword density should be less than 2.5%. Hey, you got too many words in your meta description. All of these things, I got all of these things that tell me all of these things, right? And so because of that, all of that stuff happens. So I want you to make sure that you take this video and you use it to help you grow your book business. I don't want to discourage you. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some good information to help you grow. So listen, I'll be back with another episode next Friday. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share this episode with a friend, and connect with me. Connect with me. All right. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And until next time, my friends, until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
Want to unlock the secrets to book publishing success? Tune in to the BookPreneur with Audrey Bell-Kearney. Welcome to the BookPreneur. Hosted by Audrey Bell-Kearney, an accomplished author of 7 books and a seasoned entrepreneur with 27 years of experience. This weekly show is your ticket to the innovative world of book publishing. From traditional publishing to ebooks, low-content gems, and even coloring books, Audrey covers it all. Each week, she chats with a diverse range of authors and creators, revealing the secrets to their success and how they turned pages into profits. Whether you're an aspiring author, a seasoned writer, or a book enthusiast, the BookPreneur offers insights and inspiration to help you monetize your literary passion. Audrey is also the CEO of Noise Media Network, known for the Good Morning Georgia and Good Morning Gwinnett podcasts. Join us on the BookPreneur and discover how you can thrive in the ever-evolving literary economy. Subscribe now, and let's turn your love for books into a profitable adventure.